Today I'm working on making a box with hidden wooden hinges. I've got a pencil set that I've turned on the lathe with curly maple. Got some more curly maple, thought I'd make between it and African Bidoof, with the contrasted wood being African Bidoof. So I got it laid here about where it needs to be, and so what I'm doing, I need to figure the inside measurement. So I am looking at 3 1/4 will probably be fine. And I figured 6 inches would be the length. I need to make sure I've got 6. 6 will be fine. And I'm looking at something like a couple of inches tall, because it's just pens and a pen pencil set. I just need to make sure I got enough room on the inside. So I've got on inside measurement 3 1/4 by 6 by 2 tall. So it's going to be a small box. So I'm trying to decide exactly. I was going to do box joints. I'm trying to decide 1/4 or 1/8 inch. You know, I call it 1/8 inch finger joints, you know. So I'm gonna go ahead and mill down the lumber, the African Bidoof and the curly maple. And then once I get it milled down, then I can make a mind up. I think 3/8 would be too much. I want some joints in them sides, so I'm thinking either 1/4 or 1/8 of an inch. 1/8 of an inch, I made a little old desk organizer and did a 1/8 inch. So they look sharp. They sure do. So I may do that, but after I get them milled up, I'll know. So here's the curly maple that I was talking about. However, I said a minute ago African Bidoof. Don't have enough African Bidoof to do it, but I do have Purple Heart. So what I'm planning on doing is we'll cut this Purple Heart down, and then we'll make it our sides. I think that'd be a real nice, between the curly maple and Purple Heart, I think that'll make a real nice box. So I'm gonna rough cut it on the miter saw, then we'll work it down to what we need. So I got the sides, the front and back, the bottom, and the top cut. So now we're ready for The box joints, like I said, I just think, I don't know, I may still out, it's either gonna be 1/4 or 1/8. 3/8, it won't be enough there. Kind of marked them off there a little bit. I think I'm gonna go with 1/8 inch finger joints. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. When setting the blade depth, you set the blade depth to the thickness of the mating piece. Now that I'm doing the end, I set the blade depth to the front. What we're going to do now is we're going to cut a rabbet on the bottom. That way I can have it a little thicker. Then I'll cut the grooves in the sides and ends to match the thickness of this thing right here. So I got the rabbet all the way around. Now what I can do, I just got this stuck together. But what I'm going to do now is we're going to cut a groove in the front and the sides to accommodate this right here. So I've calculated where they're going to end, about halfway down the fingers, and I got stop blocks. So I go stop block to stop block. And that should keep me from, because if you go too far and break them off, I guess we're in trouble. So let's see if we can't cut the grooves. And the groove's going to be 3/16 up, a 1/4 inch groove, 1/4 inch deep. And that'll leave me an inch. Of course, the pin is a lot less than an inch, so I make it should fit fine. So let's go ahead and cut the grooves. So that's got the groove. So I'm going to take a little chisel and clean those fingers up. That's the disadvantage of doing the fingers that small, so they're pretty fragile until you get them glued up. I got a little small chisel right here. We're going to have to get in there and, because this thing's just to fit them fingers, so can't have no debris in it. You wind up breaking if you ain't careful. But I think they look sharp. The smaller ones do. Yeah, so the bottom will go in that groove just like it right there. I've got enough room to be kind of like a shaker's dowel. Okay, so we'll cut the rest of the grooves. Now that we got the grooves cut, I'm going to work on the 1/4 inch dowel. First, cutting to a square 5/16 dowel of the same material that I've made the top and the back. Then at the router table, an 1/8 inch round over on all 4 sides. I insert a dowel into a drill and sanded a point on one end. And with my shop-made jig, I turned it into a 1/4 inch dowel. With my calipers, I checked, and it is a 1/4 inch dowel. The closer you can get this, the better you're gonna be. Now with a 1/4 inch roundover bit in the router table, I cut in the back side and the lid, the round groove for the dowel. So basically that's what it's gonna look like. Time it gets cut up, glued together, then planed down, that'd just be a smooth back then. So I think we move forward. Let's go ahead and do a dry fit. What do you say? I put these clamps on here, just kind of keep it from moving. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna use thin CA glue. Let them wick down in between all of that. And I did a test right here. Made a couple extra pieces for, you see where it wicked in right there. So I tested this thing. It's gonna be plenty stout enough. So that's what I'm gonna do. I've heard of this trick. I'm telling you right now, that's gonna work right there. So what I'm gonna do here, I've checked square all the way around. A little box is square. I even did a little cross measurements here. That is 12 and 9/16. 12 and 9/16. So what I thought about doing, these clamps are just keeping it from moving. I'm gonna let this stuff wick in there. We'll let that wick through. We'll let that set just a minute. I'll go ahead and wick this in here, and like I say, that thing's pretty stout. It's gonna look pretty good too, ain't it? But anyway, let me take my time and get this squared away, and we'll be back in a minute. I'll let the box set up overnight. Give it every possible chance. That I know that CA glue sets up pretty quick, especially with activator. I didn't use any activator. I just wanted it set up, but it's set up overnight. And I've got the groove, the round over groove cut, got the lid. So I think I'm putting some 45s right there to where leave a little gap in the finger hole. That is I cut a piece of the reject. Let's see what that's going to look like. This is the one I'm going to use. So there it is there. So what I need to do is cut this one right here. I'm going to cut it, and then that will make up the hinge. If it's glued here, it'll be waxed there, and so on across. And then once you get it glued up, we'll plane that down, and hopefully I've got a spot picked out right there. The grain will look natural, and they will not be visible until you open it up. I've made one. This will be my second box I made like this, and the way the other one turned out, it's pretty cool. It is pretty cool. Hopefully this one turns out as well as that one. We've ordered that foam you see in toolboxes and stuff. That what I'm going to do here, I'm going to take and put that foam in there and cut out for the pins where it'll set right in there. I think it'd be a nice little touch. So what I want to do now, we'll go ahead and figure where the cuts are going to be, and we'll go ahead and cut the dowels and get them placed in there. I'm going to cut this is the dowel. And I've come up with 7/8 of an inch, and that'll give me an odd amount. So first thing I need to do is cut that off. That don't look good. I need to decide what is going to be out. Looks like it right there. Let's see if I can't mark a line. Okay, that's where my grain comes out. So I'm gonna cut these 7/8 of an inch, and I got my little jig right here. I'm gonna drill a hole in each side, and I've got this brass to connect the two for a hinge. So first thing we need to do is cut these 7/8. And that last one is just a little shy of 7/8, but you want it a tight fit. You definitely want a good snug fit. Take your time with the cutting it, 'cause you want as smooth a cut as you can get. Okay, I got a mark on here, 7/8 of an inch. This is that jig. It's got the circle back to support it the best we can. Still, you want to take your time when you're cutting these things. Cut. You want to smooth the job as you can get right there. Where's Now that we got them cut, you take your time cut, make this nice, straight, clean, with a little tear out as possible. And with that, I've got this little jig just made for that 1/4 inch rod. What it'll do, it'll drill a hole right in the center of that dowel. I got it from Rob Cosman. He sells these things. You can go to robcosman.com. He got them on his website. It'll put a hole right in the center of the dowel. Whereas the first one just gets it in one hole. And then you take these little brass rods, set right in there. And you cut little sections right there, and that's what makes the hinge. So when you get all your holes drilled, see, they'll just stick together. But what you need to do is turn all of the that pencil mark, remember we put them on it? That you kind of need to get that lined up. Now, when you get it lined up, you can fine tune it after you get it in there. You would try to get it just close. And then the top, see, it will glue. There it is. So we'll get all the pencil lines lined up. First, what we need to do is mark each end. See, one gets glue, then wax. Glue, wax, glue, wax, glue. And on the top, it's right the opposite. There'll be wax, glue, wax, glue. And so we need to mark them off and apply that. We'll get all the wax like we want it. And then we get the glue like we want it. And then when you clamp it together, you got it. All right, so what we're going to want to do here is mark this one piece of this will have to be locked in to this, the other one will have to move. The opposite one will have to be locked into this, the other one will have to move. So we'll get this this little deal actually worked out pretty good on the last one. It surprised me. But you got to put that glue on there in such a way that it won't spill over. So for instance, if this gets glue, that one gets wax. That one's glue. That one's wax. Glue. All right, now this one will be right the opposite. This one will get wax. All right, then the ones in the middle then. Glue. See, they're backwards. If it wasn't, you couldn't open and close it. Look, what I do, I take Q-tips and apply the glue and the wax. And the wax I'm talking about is Johnson paste wax. So the wax will get where the W's are. I apply the wax first. That way, the glue, you got to open time for the glue. You try not to go over the line, but you want to get close to the line, if you know what I mean. So because what'll happen, that glue's not going to stick where the wax is. Now what we'll do, we'll get the glue. You need to be careful here. Again, we got open time we got to pay attention to. Now, what we need to do here the biggest thing is lining the pencil marks up. See, that's your grain direction. If you can get that grain to match, the end results will be better. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna get me a clamp and clamp that down where she'll set up. It'll take a lot, but it just needs to join. Okay, got another one. Like I say, it don't take a lot of pressure to make sure that lid stays in place. Okay, So let's let that set up. Usually what I do, I let it set up 24 hours, give it the best shot of succeeding. Well, all right, we'll let that dry and we'll come back and check it out. Well, it is set up now. Let's take these clamps off and see what we got. Okay, moment of truth. Well, it works. Let's go ahead and take a hand plane and plane this down and see what we got. Okay. All right, let's take a look at it here. I don't know if the camera's picking up or not. Them hinges not as hidden as I'd hoped. They're still pretty good, but not as hidden as I'd hoped. I didn't get the grain right. What I should have done, if I could have calculated were this piece, and I could cut that out of right in the same part of the tree, I think it would have done better. Might have to put a little grease on it, it's squeaking. But anyway, it's nice, but it's not as hidden as I'd hoped it would be. I'm gonna put a 45 chamfer right here and here to separate that, and plus where you can get your finger in it. Okay. Let's check that out. Now we got I think that's enough finger hold, don't you? What I have is a shellac 2-pound cut that I'm gonna use. What I do, I put several coats on it. Now, a lot of times what I'll do, I'll go to a 1-pound cut for the last one. Just something to protect it, but yet it still looks like the wood that it is. A lot of times you can get so much and it just looks fake, if you know what I mean. One thing about the shellac, it's cut with denatured alcohol. It actually dries real fast, so you can wait a few minutes, and I'm talking just a few minutes, and you're ready to go for the next coat. We'll let that dry a couple of minutes and we'll go again. Well, I wish that the foam was here to where I could get the pins in it, but by the time I have to end this video, what I'll do when it does get here and I get the pins installed and stuff, that pen pencil set, it is it's actually got curly maple here, and I'm gonna get it in there, and I'll put a picture on a post on my channel. But that's gonna wrap us up for this video. If y'all leave me a comment on what you think about hidden wooden hinges. And I think the Purple Heart and curly maple is made a nice contrasting wood. That's gonna do us on this one. Hope you enjoyed it. If you don't mind, hit that like, comment, and subscribe. I really like those comments. Keep them comments coming. Y'all be safe, stay well. and I'll catch you on the next one.